welcome back to the channel. Today is a big day. We've got great temperatures. Temperatures are currently right now here in the 80s. I don't know what it is on the outside, but I went ahead and I set up everything I need to set up on the outside so that we can start fiberglassing the insides of the decks. So let's just go out and we'll take a look at what really is going on. I put together this little tent just because of the fumes. So one of the things that I'm going to end up doing here first is we know that there's a lot of gaps in the wood itself. So I'm going to come in and I'm flipping these over and I'm taping up the back side because I don't want all of the epoxy to kind of run out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that on both of them, and then I'm going to come in here and just with a little celu filler and some fiberglass or some epoxy, we'll take and epoxy all of those gaps in here and make those at least so they'll be nice and smooth, and then it won't kind of leak out on the other side and create more of a mess there. And then what we're going to do is, once I'm done with that, we're going to come back in and lay the fiberglass down here, make sure that it's nice and smooth. I do see some areas over here that I'm kind of wondering maybe I should do a little bit more work on those, or I could build do some fillet, and before we actually do the epoxy, get some fillet and put some wood filler in, smooth those out, and then we'll be able just to work right from there. This is going to be a big day, so we're going to set this up and get moving.
We used to days, you and me. 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 It's a day.
So I know this is definitely overkill, but I just went in and just anything that I thought may have a little flaw in, I just covered it. Just because I think it'd be a whole lot easier to sand the wood than it is to sand the epoxy. So we just won't have any leakage from there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this one over. I'm going to mix up some epoxy with a little celu filler in it, and then we'll just inject these all in these little areas, and then we'll allow them to dry. So during COVID, I don't know what this looks like, but it doesn't matter. You couldn't get these pumps, and so I went ahead and ordered them. It's so much nicer, so much cleaner. So I just pump as many as I need. I'm gonna put 6 in here and do 6 in this, because this one here does twice. So it's half hardener, 2 times, blue 1 time. And I'm hoping this will be enough for this to get both of them. And I'm using this Cellufill. I think that's going to be good, and we'll go out and finish the rest of these. So there you go. This is round 1. Both decks are, I guess I would say, pre-primed. I don't know what you would call this step, but it's sealing. So I went in and I didn't really see anything in the directions to do that, but there's just a lot of gaps in there that I just wanted to make sure that they were sealed up prior to putting on this epoxy coat, or this layer of fiberglass, multiple layers. Probably what I'll end up doing is, once this is dry, I'll come back over this with about 120 grit sandpaper. I'll sand these down, get them just so that there's not a lot of gloss on there, and then I'll just come back. I'll lay fiberglass down on both of them, make sure we've got everything cut just right, and then we'll start the fiberglass process. It'll be later on today, but we can let this dry for a few hours. It'll probably be tacked up here pretty quick, because it's probably about 80 out right now. And some of this is in the sun, some of it's not. So it'll be good for it all the way around. So we'll be back at you in a little bit. So we went and let this dry for about 3 or 4 hours, and it is nice and dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 120 grit paper on, I may just do it on my random orbital, and I'll just kind of go over these, because it's still, I feel some areas that it's a little bit, it's raised a little bit, and we'll go ahead and get that taken care of, and then we'll get ready to fiberglass. Well, that was actually very interesting because these, although, I mean, they've actually become very, well, a whole lot more firm. So that's good. I did see some few areas that I still kept some tape on in this one here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the fiberglass and on both of these, and we'll smooth it down as best as we can. I think I may try to move this one over a little bit and this one back this way because the sun is kind of creeping in a little bit, but we'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring out the fiberglass and we can cut and start laying it. So we're working on smoothing these out because you don't want any wrinkles in them. Trying to figure out what the best way to get this one out. I think it may pull it back this way. But just keep working with it until you get all of these wrinkles out before you start pouring your epoxy in there. And this is just going to be epoxy, no fillet or anything like that. I may have to tape this down a little bit because this looks like this is going to blow a little bit. I think that's what I'll do is I'll get a little clamp and we'll just, once it gets wet, I'll take and move it, but it's not going to help right now. So I'll do that from here. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this out. We're going to mix up some epoxy and just start going at it. So, sorry I spent a lot of time doing ramping on the video. It is extremely hot out here. I think it's about 87, 90 degrees. And I was doing everything I could just to keep up with this. Wanted to make sure that I got a couple layers. It's already hardened up. On the back, and I didn't cut those. That was a pain. I kind of learned a lot on this one here. It's pretty smooth. I mean, this one here is a whole lot better. Being out in the wind like this doesn't help. But then again, I didn't take and really trim out the fiberglass here. I do think I'm going to put another clamp on. We'll just put this clamp right here on. And am I afraid that it'll stick? No, because it is plastic, and plastic won't stick to those, to anything with the epoxy. So I'm just going to let these things dry, and that's actually going to be it. So this was a huge hurdle that we had to overcome, because once this is done, once this is dry, then we can go ahead and cut in our both of our hatches. And once all of those are all fiberglassed and fitted well, then what we're going to do is we'll marry the two together, and we'll actually start looking like a boat. And then it's just some minor things, bringing those hulls together, the hull and the deck together, and buttoning some things up, and then taking a ton of time on the exterior, making sure that the wood is as flawless as we can get it. We'll put another bunch of fiberglass on top of that. But then after that, it's just varnish, 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 and then we can make our decision whether we're going to paint the hulls or not. So while the fiberglass kind of cures, when it's in a green state, it actually makes it a whole lot easier to trim. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to come in here and trim this off right now. Great day. I need to stop and clean up, and we'll let these suckers dry. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, turn on your post notifications, and hit that thumbs up if you like the content. Thanks for watching.